What's going on, you guys? Once again, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please go subscribe. Go subscribe real quick. Once we hit 500 subscribers, I'll be doing a giveaway. 2 people will be getting something. So go ahead and subscribe if you're new to this channel. I got a package today, so let's see what's up. Alright guys, so what do y'all think that is? That is the Stealth Wicker bill. So I'm gonna go clean the car up and then we're about to go install this thing. Alright, so right now I'm heading over to my buddy's house, scatting, and we are gonna install this thing. He's installed like, I think five wicker bills now, so he's extremely good at it. So I'm gonna let him install this thing, and I'm gonna get all the recording, and yeah, we're gonna go through it step by step, and yeah, so let's do it. Just in case any of you guys are wondering, it might seem like my car is always filthy, but it's because I live on a gravel road and I literally have to drive 5 miles an hour down it every day. So yeah, it sucks. Well, we have arrived. All right, got her cleaned up. Got the tools out. There she is. This one is the Stealth Wicker bill. There's there's 2 kinds, I guess. There's like the regular one and then the Stealth one. And then you can get where, let me see. There's a polished. So like on the top, you can tell like it's not rigid up here. It's like smoothed out. And then there's just a normal one where it just looks like it's like just cut. Either one looks really good, but I got the Stealth polished. So yeah, I really can't wait to get this thing on.
Middle of the line, so I usually take my level and make sure it's level here, find middle of the camera and middle of these lines. Then I make a spot top and bottom. To get my straight line, I take a piece of cardboard and flex it right down the spoiler so I can draw a straight line all the way through. This deck lid on each side, you can usually measure, and it should be right at 24 inches dead in the middle of the light. So I'll just make a little tear in my tape line, bring it over. Right at the edge to there. Right at 24 inches just before that, and then if you flip it over and go here, you should get the exact same distance. One line before 24 inches. That's why I also put tape on here. And I don't know why I'm doing this, but you can see one line before 24 inches. So our line is dead even.
We're on point.
On the side of the center hole. Like that. this over here to get our center line. We know we're gonna be level, the same height on both sides of it, so that when we start with the hole, we're at the right height. Some people want to push it all the way down to the deck lid, but a nickel will run this top edge just about perfect with the top edge of this. And so your wicker bill's not laying on your paint, maybe moving around, scratching it and stuff like that. So I usually use nickels. They seem to be just about the right height.
You want me to hold it?
Yep, if you want to hold this part. There you go. So I just got to get the center hole here. And then I just go around that circle the whole way, blacking out against the tape. And then I got the hole, the first pilot hole.
That is the hole.
Yep, that's the first one. If you get
First
that one
drill
right,
hole.
everything else is gonna line right up for you.
Cool.
You can see this is right at 24 to the outside edge, to the inside edge of the fender, to that center hole. And the same thing here, if I mark this outside of this fender to the center of that, you're going to see that comes right about the 24 inches as well, right there. What I do is drill an 1/8 inch pilot hole. That gives me a center point for my 3/8, which is ultimately on the Charger wicker bills where you got to end up. And just to make sure, because sometimes they like to change stuff, I'm going to make sure that it still says 3/8, because sometimes they like to change up. So yeah, right there, 3/8 inch with top of spoiler, or that is the position of it. But here, 3/8 enlarged hole. Awesome. Basically, find the center part of the dot that you made. Make sure it's on line with the center line that you did. And this is the point of no return. Once you drill this hole, it's done. So here we go. I put my drill on low speed so I'm not running through there real quick. And that's it, it's not much. Quick drill in. Got my pilot hole. Switch out to my 3/8. Use the pilot hole. Slow drill. That's it.
And there she goes.
Yep. You do have to, especially on the Charger ones, you do have to enlarge the hole just a little bit past the 3/8 to fit the riv nut inserts in. But what I'll typically do is just do a minor amount of ovaling it out, and then I'll take the insert, because I like the inserts to fit good and tight in there. That way when you crimp down on them, it's you know you're getting a good bite. So you need to go a little bit more. Doesn't take much. And there it is. It'll fit perfectly in there. And I just pull this back out. Sometimes if it's too tight in there and you get stuck, it gets stuck and you can't pull it out, just take one of the screws that comes with it and screw it in there a little bit and then use that to pull it out. So now, what I usually do is I remove a little bit of the tape around the hole. Insert the riv nut. Get the riv nut tool out. Insert it and then screw the riv tool into it. Some people will screw the insert to the riv tool first. Either way really works. It's a little easier to put the riv nut on the tool first. You can just run it up in there flush. Make sure it stays flush and give it a good squeeze. And then I'll just move this around and make sure the nut you don't see the nut at all move around in the spoiler. If you didn't squeeze it enough, then you just screw this in a little bit more and then just squeeze again.
Gotcha.
So once that's done, you just unscrew this piece out of the riv nut. And
on to the next one.
On to the next one.
Awesome.
I'll leave the nickels in here and get the first one bolted up and just look and see about my spacing that I want all the way across too. And then after that, you can basically go down the rest. But I usually take it on and off for every hole just because I want to make sure that it's fitting exactly like I want it to.
Yeah.
So I usually move my nickels down towards the hole that I'm getting ready to drill. Just to make sure I keep that space good, a good even space all the way across. And you see you keep your space on the bottom here good and even all the way across. And then I'll mark the next 2 holes. And it's important that you have the clear part on for the rest of these holes. For the last 4, you want to make sure you have the clear on. And make sure that the holes line up with the main body of the wicker bill. So that way you know it's there. So we'll just go ahead and mark the next 2 holes that we're going to drill. That one. And that one. Fit the inserts. But I like to leave the rest on there just to continue to protect the spoiler while we're on and off with the body of it. Make sure that before I drill this inside one, because this inside one, once you get that one, it would be hard to make adjustments here. But what you want to do is make sure as much as possible that the bottom edge of this outside part is almost as flush as you can with the top edge of the factory spoiler. Some people don't want it to stick up that way. My only thing is that they have this here so that the airflow is proper. And if this is hanging below that, wind's gonna come under there, hit this part and kind of swirl under. So maybe it makes a difference, maybe it doesn't. But the other thing you gotta be aware of is that if this is too close to the body, when you shut the trunk, this could hit the paint and cause scarring and scratching and chipping of the paint. So I just like, typically all the ones I do, I like to try to make sure that this part is as flush as possible. So before I do these inside holes, I try to make sure that this part is flush, and then I'll mark this inside one, do the same on the other side. I'll do one more test fit before I mark this last hole. Some people go ahead and just mark both of these, but I just like to make sure it's as perfect as possible. So I'll do these, do one more test fit, and then do the last hole. So make sure that's the same height that you have on the other side. So this is, just about dead flush, and this is the same, same flush right here. So, and it's not perfect, but if you wanted to get something out to measure and make sure this is exactly the same, I usually just use my finger, and if it's flush, it's flush on both sides. I mean,
it's flush.
It's flush. This one, typically the plastic is a little bit thicker on this curve right here, so don't be worried about this one too much. It seems like the plastic gets thicker on the curve, so it might take a little bit more pressure to get all the way through there, but don't be afraid of it. Also, you're starting the curve, so you have to be careful how far in you go, because here you're kind of going straight in, but here you're starting to go at this curve, so you can see right there's the top of the spoiler hitting. So you sometimes, depending on where, especially on this one, I'll take a piece of tape and wrap around the drill bit, kind of like a stop. So if I am drilling and it gets away from me, the stop will stop it from going in too far. And you could just take like some of this blue tape and just measure the depth. It doesn't take much to get, I mean, at this point, I'm through. So I could actually take some of that blue tape and wrap it around the drill bit at that point, and then I know when I drill, I'm not gonna go any further than that blue tape is gonna stop it, but I've still drilled all the way through. So how the riv nut works. So basically what happens is you have this serrated section which is weakened because it's been cut, and it goes in. So imagine that's your spoiler, and when you squeeze it, this stud pulls this part in and crushes the weaker part. So you'll see it start to bow out, and when you crush it, what happens is you can see it there, but I'll tear this away. And so what happens, as you can see, is it mushrooms the inside part. That's where the spoiler is, and then the outside part. So it basically crushes the inside part and sandwiches the spoiler between this outside ridge and this inside crushable piece. And that's how the riv nut works. So to do the last ones, I'll go ahead and still put my nickels in to make sure this, at least on this far outer edge of the center part of the wicker bill. And the good thing is again, the tape protects your paint while you're putting this nickel in and out.
So adjusting it?
Yeah, so you're not hurting it or anything. So at this point, I'll just double check my fit again. So you still have a little bit of wiggle room here. So you can make sure that you got the height you want here, and make sure you still got your finger width inside there. Make sure that that's, so you can see this part needs to come up some, because if we were to just do the finger height here, see how close you are on the paint there. So you want to come up and make sure you're off that paint. Take this, put it there. Now we know, we're as good as possible at the same height on both sides, and now we can go ahead and mark our last hole and feel pretty confident that it's as close as possible to the same height on both sides. And you want to squeeze this tight up against the spoiler. If it's out like this, you could get your mark off. So squeeze it tight up against the spoiler. Get your mark in. Same on this side. Get that mark in. There we go. I'm kind of used to, after doing about 5 or 6 of these, I'm kind of used to it. But this end, see, this is another thing that will happen often. Most people don't believe it, but
what the heck?
It's condensation.
What?
Condensation builds up inside the spoiler. It happened on, of the 5 or 6 that I've done, 4 of them, including my own. Of the YouTube videos also, where somebody would, the side that it's slanted at, when you drill that last hole, it just leaks water out. Yeah. Done. So we can go ahead and start stripping the tape off of it. Because once this goes on, you got to take it off if you want to clean under that edge. So we go. Just use the cardboard so it doesn't damage the paint since you took the tape off. I'll work my way going across one at a time, working my way to the outside, kind of like you would when you snug lug nuts on a car. You kind of do that cross pattern. So I'll do that the same with this. I'll just work my way through one or the other so that you're and then I'll just do one more. I'll just do one more walkthrough just that same way to make sure that it's still. It hasn't got to be super tight. You'll notice if you tighten it too much, you'll start to see just a little flex in the plexiglass. Some of these kits come with like a rubber insulator. Some don't. I'm not sure how they decide which ones do and don't, but I think of all the ones I've done, 2 of them came with rubber washers and the rest of them didn't. But I'll just snug it down until I start to see the washer just flex just a little bit, and then I stop right there.
There she is. That thing looks awesome. Well guys, there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. First off, I want to give a huge thanks to Scat in 392. He's a great dude. Like I mentioned before in the video, he's already installed like 5 of these for the guys in the car club. So I trusted him to do a good job, and he sure did. I think it gives the car such more of like an aggressive look. I love the way it looks. I wanted to get one since I had my RT, or the white RT. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Like I said in the beginning, man, I got so much stuff coming. I got a lot of stuff coming for this car, so why not subscribe? So like I said, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.